Right now, literally at this exact second, there is a highly destructive biological mechanism operating inside of you. It's this invisible threat driving accelerated aging, cognitive decline, even the deterioration of your muscles and joints.
Yeah. And because the stakes of this invisible threat are just so incredibly high, we're skipping all the pleasantries today. We are diving straight into the advanced nutritional science of how to conquer what researchers are calling the absolute most dangerous biological process happening inside the aging body.
See, chronic inflammation, it isn't just a sore knee, right? It's a slow, silent, completely invisible fire burning inside your body. Think of your immune system like a highly sophisticated thermostat. When you're young, it fires up to fight off an infection, and then boom, it cools right back down. But as we get older, that thermostat breaks. It literally gets stuck in the on position.
Which honestly raises the most critical question of this entire explainer. How on earth can we possibly extinguish the systemic fire once it's already raging? Well, to fight it, we've got to name it first. Scientists actually call this phenomenon inflammaging. It's when your aging immune system is constantly pumping out these dangerous inflammatory signals, even when there is absolutely no infection to fight. And you know what the real tragedy is here? Most adults over the age of 60 are actively feeding this fire every single day through their diet, completely unaware of the cellular damage they're causing. But the good news is we can absolutely flip the script. Okay, let's get into section 1, the cellular repair kit. We're talking extra virgin olive oil and wild-caught salmon. Let's dive right into this daily arsenal. Just 1.5 tablespoons of cold extra virgin olive oil a day actually improves blood flow in the tiny vessels of your aging grain by a staggering 34%. How? Well, it's all because of this compound called oleocanthal. It works almost identically to ibuprofen at the molecular level, blocking inflammatory enzymes, but with zero stomach bleeding or kidney stress.
Right. And then you pair that with wild-caught salmon. Listen, your cell walls are made of fat. When you eat highly processed oils, those walls get stiff and angry. The omega-3s in salmon, specifically EPA and DHA, they physically replace those stiff fats. They make your cells fluid and responsive again. But listen to me very closely here. You must never heat that extra virgin olive oil past its smoke point of 375 degrees, or you instantly destroy that healing oleocanthal.
So let's look at the actual reality of this. Take Margaret, a 74-year-old patient who could barely climb her own stairs. Her C-reactive protein, which is basically the primary blood marker for systemic inflammation, was sitting at an alarmingly high 8.2.
Wow. And just by adding 2 to 3 servings of wild-caught salmon a week, plus making some basic dietary shifts, she plummeted that exact marker down to 2.1 in just 6 months. That is astonishing. She essentially rebuilt her cellular walls, and frankly, got 10 years of her life back.
Moving right along to section 2, protecting the power plants, blueberries and turmeric. Okay, so inside every single cell, you have mitochondria. Think of them as your body's power plants. When you're young, they run perfectly clean. But after around age 65, they start running dirty. They start spitting out these chemical waste products called reactive oxygen species. These are literal biochemical sparks that ignite systemic inflammation.
And this is exactly where blueberries come in, right? The deep blue pigments in those berries, called anthocyanins, actually enter the cells and neutralize those biochemical sparks before they can even trigger the inflammatory cascade.
Spot on. And then we bring in turmeric, or more accurately, its active compound, curcumin. You see, most pharmaceutical anti-inflammatories work kind of like a sledgehammer. They knock out inflammation everywhere, even in places where your body actually needs it for natural repair. Curcumin is totally different. It targets a highly specific master switch in your body called the NF-kappa B pathway. It acts like this brilliant precision cleaning crew, particularly in the brain, where it's been shown to reduce amyloid plaque accumulation.
But there is a massive problem here. Curcumin has a fatal absorption flaw. If you just eat it straight, like 97% of it just passes right through you.
Exactly. So to actually get this medicine across the blood-brain barrier, you have to use an ancient biochemical hack. Step 1, take your turmeric. Step 2, add a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. The piperine in that pepper actually temporarily stops your liver from breaking the curcumin down.
Which gives you a staggering 2,000% absorption boost.
Yes, 2,000. And then step 3, you absolutely must add a fat, something like extra virgin coconut oil, because curcumin is fat soluble. It needs a vehicle to physically carry it right through your intestinal walls.
This whole golden milk combination completely transforms an otherwise inert spice into a genuine medicinal powerhouse.
All right, section 3, the climax, the NRF2 master switch. So, We've rebuilt the walls and we've protected the power plants. But what if I told you there is one final, ultimate, anti-inflammatory food literally hiding in plain sight at your grocery store, costing less than $2? And it outperforms almost every other intervention by a factor of 50 to 100.
Wait, 50 to 100? That is a dramatic multiplier. No way. What exactly are we comparing mature broccoli to here?
We are talking about raw broccoli sprouts, the tiny 3 to 5 day old seedlings. They contain 50 to 100 times more of this miraculous compound called sulforaphane than full-grown broccoli. It completely shifts the entire scientific paradigm. The crucial point here is understanding exactly why sulforaphane is so incredibly powerful. It activates a protein in your body called NRF2, pronounced NRF2. NRF2 is your body's master internal cleanup foreman. When you activate it, you simultaneously flip the switch on over 200 different genes involved in detoxification, cellular repair, and extreme anti-inflammatory defense. Wow. And the big key takeaway here is that sulforaphane from broccoli sprouts is literally the most potent natural NRF2 activator ever discovered by modern science. Seriously, just look at the clinical data from a 12-week trial. Participants taking broccoli sprout extract saw an incredible 38% drop in oxidative stress. Airway inflammation plummeted by 54%. And dangerous systemic markers linked to Alzheimer's and cardiovascular disease dropped by 29%.
And this massive reduction is largely because sulforaphane activates an enzyme that specifically neutralizes lipid peroxides. Now, those are a very severe class of inflammatory compounds that just relentlessly pile up in the arteries and brains of seniors.
Which brings us to section 4, the twist, the myrosinase heat trap. So, if this stuff is the absolute holy grail of anti-inflammation, why does cooked broccoli fail to deliver these miraculous systemic healing effects? Like, why exactly is heat the ultimate enemy here? It all comes down to a highly volatile chemical reaction that actually has to happen inside your mouth. You see, sulforaphane doesn't even exist in the plant while it's just sitting there on the shelf. Inside the sprout cells, a precursor compound called glucoraphanin is just waiting. When you chew the raw sprout, that mechanical crushing breaks the cell walls and releases an enzyme called myrosinase. Only when these two violently mix together in your mouth is the magical sulforaphane medicine instantly created. And this brings us to the absolutely devastating reality of cooking. When you expose broccoli or sprouts to heat, you completely obliterate that fragile myrosinase enzyme. Just gone. And without it, that volatile mixing we just talked about cannot happen. So if you eat cooked broccoli, your gut bacteria can kind of try to convert it, but you're only getting this incredibly weak 10 to 30% conversion rate. It completely pales in comparison to the maximum healing yield you'd get from raw sprouts with their myrosinase fully intact. Exactly. So to get around this, we use these 400% yield hacks. First, obviously, just eat your broccoli sprouts entirely raw. If the taste is a bit too pungent for you, just blend them into a smoothie with a little pineapple juice. But here is the most brilliant hack from the University of Illinois. If you absolutely love hot-cooked broccoli, go ahead and cook it. But then, take it off the heat. Then, take 1 single tablespoon of raw broccoli sprouts and sprinkle them right on top.
That is incredible. The raw myrosinase enzyme from those little raw sprouts literally rescues the cooked broccoli. It jumps in and converts the compounds in the entire dish into sulforaphane, functionally increasing your yield by up to 400%. The simplicity of that is just marveling.
It really is, which brings us to the ultimate question for this explainer. Listen, every single time you sit down to a meal, you are issuing a direct biochemical command to your cells. So, are you quietly feeding the silent fire today? Letting inflammaging just run rampant? Or are you going to use extra virgin olive oil, wild salmon, precise turmeric hacks, and those raw broccoli sprouts to activate your cellular cleanup crew? The biology is entirely in your hands. Use it.